Nothing. It stops there. And Spike nervously, trying to roll up and hide the scroll as quickly as he could. Twilight quickly snatched it with her magic in response. Spike sheepishly tried to sneak out of the room. Spike! Yipes! Yelled Spike, trying to make her run for it. She teleported him back to her, holding him in front of her with telekinesis, glaring at him rather furiously. Hey, Blue Blood had it coming, and you know it. And that's how they beat Discord and saved Equestria, finished Spike, looking up to see Trixie staring with her jaw almost on the floor in complete shock. Breakfast was eaten and Twilight was out, informing the others of the situation and trying to get them relaxed before reintroducing them to Trixie, as well as inform Ponyville about the storm. What's wrong with you? What's wrong? Asked Trixie, looking like she was going to have a nervous breakdown, eye twitching and everything. The three ponies I had publicly humiliated were the three of the heroines who have saved Equestria. Twice! That's what's wrong, she exclaimed, giving a groan and slamming her head down on the table, hard enough to rattle everything on it all at once. It's official. My life is over. Yeah, you're probably right, said Spike with a shrug. Spike? Trixie exclaimed, giving Spike an angry glare as she walked in. The little dragon was still in a rather hot water over the stun he'd pulled yesterday. As it was, Rainbow Dash walked in along with the rest of the group. Rainbow Dash glaring daggers at the unicorn mare, while Rarity and Applejack gave her rather uncertain looks. Rarity's more chastising than Applejack's. Trixie looked enraged for a moment at the three ponies she publicly humiliated, not liking the angry glares, then lowered her head. You think Trixie deserves this, don't you? That Trixie deserves to lose everything she had for a few mean pranks? She asked, looking downtrodden. Spike rubbed his head. Well, when you put it that way, you make me feel bad. Applejack nodded, seeing how harsh that would be. No, Sugar Cube, we don't. It was us who wanted to prove ourselves right, Applejack stated, going over to Trixie. You might have gave the challenge, but we're the ones who took it. Rainbow and Rarity even knew what they were in for. Yeah, you wanted to prove yourself, Rainbow said bitterly, followed by a long sigh of annoyance by Twilight. Indeed, said Rarity, walking over, but still looking a bit miffed. You may have had my hair in a total mess and humiliated me in front of the entire town, but I'm not one to turn down a mare who's down on her luck. It's not the proper way for a lady to behave. Wait, so you're not angry yet, Trixie? Asked Trixie, completely surprised by this turn of events. Of course we're angry at ya, said Applejack, giving a small glare. But we also can see you're in over your head, and that was my cat. He just wanted to say hi. And needs some help. Holding on to an old grudge don't do any pony no good, she said with a small smile. That and Rarity can't resist helping pony folk who need it. She's the element of generosity after all. Applejack is right, I suppose, replied Rarity with a sigh. I have always had a weakness for helping other ponies, and you certainly look like you need help. Fluttershy timidly peeked at Trixie through her bangs before the mare could reply. Hi, she said simply in her timid voice. I'm Fluttershy, she said in a small, shy voice, this being the first time she'd actually met Trixie. Glad to meet you. Pinkie bounced in. I still don't know what's going on, but we can have the party. I brought my party candy, she exclaimed, producing said item from out of nowhere. And once again, Pinkie Pie just being Pinkie Pie. Later, Pinkie, said Twilight seriously, as Trixie stared wide-eyed at the sudden appearance of a cannon manned by the, in her opinion, rather crazy pink pony. Oh, all right, muttered Pinky, rolling her weapon of mass celebration off screen. Anyway, we're all here to help, said Twilight, smiling to Trixie. Trixie sighed. Trixie doesn't want your pity. Trixie just needs to know where she can find a job, she said simply, stubbornness clear in her voice. Well, good, 'cause I'm not helping you, exclaimed Rainbow, equal amounts of stubbornness in the blue Pegasus voice. Rainbow, what's gotten into you? Asked Twilight, a bit upset at her friend. She's a liar! She lied to the entire town and didn't fess up until an Ursa Minor was about to eat her for dinner, replied Rainbow Dash, giving a glare. What makes you think for 1 minute she's telling the truth now? Because I found her homeless on the streets of Canterlot, Rainbow. Do you think the great and powerful would be like that willingly? Sorry, the great and powerful Trixie would be like that willingly? Asked Twilight, glaring at Rainbow. How'd you end up on the streets like that anyway? Asked Spike, scratching his head. Twilight looked in the various directions around the library, trying to think of a job that might suit Trixie. Trixie doesn't want you to pity her. All she wants is to know where she may find a job, replied the stubborn unicorn. Dear, we can't do anything for you as an act of kindness, not pity, unless you tell us how you got in this condition, said Rarity, trying to coax out how Trixie had gone from how they'd last seen her to a homeless, filthy mare on the streets of Canterlot. Fine, Trixie sighed out, seeing they wouldn't let the matter be. Trixie's card had everything she'd owned in it, her money, her magic supplies, everything, she said, leaving the rest for them to fill in. Rarity's gasped in realization. The Ursa stepped on your cart, she said, now cringing at the memory, which at the time she'd felt Trixie had deserved, now felt terrible. I guess that explains a lot, said Applejack, rubbing the back of her head, having the same reaction as Rarity, while Rainbow kept her mouth shut. Trixie nodded. Trixie lost everything she had. That's all, she explained, ending the explanation abruptly. Twilight spoke up after a brief, uncomfortable silence. Well, Trixie, I have sorted out jobs available in Ponyville. One group that you can't do, like working on the Apple family farm. And why can't Trixie do that? Asked Trixie, looking to the orange earth pony. 'Cause it's muscle work, Sugar Cube, said Applejack. And right now, you don't have a lot of muscle on ya. That and my big brother Big Macintosh is mighty upset you humiliated me in public, said Applejack, giving a nervous look. Big brother instinct and all. The Apple clan is pretty tight-knit. Trixie sighed but looked rather upset at the mention of family. However, she could understand her point. Not only did she not feel like facing some pony's angry older sibling, she'd also know she wasn't in the best of shape after several weeks with very little of value to eat. Sure, she had magic, but unlike Twilight, her telekinesis wasn't quite as powerful or useful for heavy lifting. Fine, what can Trixie do? Well, the second group are ones that we can try, but there's no promises you'll get them, like working in shops around the town square. Finally, third, those you can probably get easy, like working with Fluttershy, Rarity, or Pinkie Pie, who I'm fairly certain will give you a job. Whatever, you can help her if you want to, but I'm not falling for it, said Rainbow, finally having enough. When she turns on you, don't say I didn't warn you, she spat, flying out the nearest window. Twilight sighed. Don't mind her. Rainbow will probably come around eventually, she said, knowing Rainbow wasn't exactly the most forgiving pony to someone who'd hurt her friends, being the element of loyalty as well as pretty hard-headed sometimes. Fluttershy normally got furious when that happened, but she was the element of kindness, so she was naturally a very forgiving pony. But she was pretty sure that Rainbow would come around if Trixie proved she was trustworthy. Moving on, let's focus on finding you a job. I actually do need a little help, and I'll pay well, said Fluttershy in her timid, shy tone, but wanting to help if at all possible. No offense, dear, but how? Asked Rarity to her knowledge. To her knowledge, Fluttershy didn't get paid a great deal for her job, but despite her skills with animals, hadn't asked for more than she needed. Fluttershy had no real desire for money, and Rarity had never known her to seek it. "I've saved up a lot," said Fluttershy, then blushed heavily. "From when I was a model," she muttered quietly, looking down. "I've got quite a bit, actually." Trixie's jaw dropped. "You were a model?" she asked, completely shocked. Trixie somehow has trouble believing that. Even sometimes I have a hard time believing that Fluttershy would be a model. "Yes, with photo finish," explained Rarity, remembering her own unsavory behavior during the whole incident. "That was some time ago, though." "Photo finish? The photo finish?" asked Trixie, her jaw dropping almost to the floor in shock. Fluttershy nodded in her usual meek way. "Yes, but I really hated it, and I hardly ever hate anything. But I saved up the money in case it come in handy. I'd be glad to give you work, that is, if you want to. Or if that is, if you want it." Trixie shook off her shock and gave her a look. "What would the job be?" Twilight nodded. Fluttershy takes care of animals. That's not a problem, is it?" Trixie growled under her breath but composed herself. "Trixie will do any job she needs to. She's not too soft for a little hard work." Twilight was pleasantly surprised by that. "All right, that'll be your first job." "Good. The sooner we get her back on her hooves, the better," muttered Spike, even if he felt a little bad, but still wasn't too fond of Trixie. "I'm glad you're so concerned, Spike, because until I get back, you're Trixie's assistant," said Twilight, giving her assistant a slight glare. "What? Why?" asked Spike, taken off guard. "For the same reason I've got to go to Camelot to clean Prince Blueblood's room," said Twilight, glaring at the little dragon. "Or would you rather do that?" Spike huffed and crossed his arms. "Fine." "Good," said Twilight. "I should be back later today. I'll see you guys when I get back," she said, clearly not looking forward to it as she left. "Why does she have to clean out that brute's room for?" asked Rarity, confused by this turn of events. "I threw a stink bomb in it," admitted Spike, almost proudly. "I did it to pay him back for how he treated you at the gala." Rarity gave a small smile. "Why, thank you, Spike, even if it wasn't the most couth of things to do. It's still a nice gesture. Well, not for Blueblood, though that pompous prince had it coming," she admitted, still not too happy about her run-in with Blueblood at the gala. She'd kind of enjoyed seeing Blueblood have to humble himself to a bit to her during her time as one of the Camelot elite. Even if he was a prince, he had a public image to keep up. "Can we go now?" asked Trixie as Spike blushed from Rarity's praise. Trixie would like to get this over with. "I got to get anyway," said Applejack. "There's a storm a-comin', and me and the family have got to prepare," she explained, remembering what Twilight had said about it. "I suppose I should be going as well," said Rarity. "If I don't watch Sweetie Belle, who knows what she and her friends will get into," she said, following Applejack out. "I'll be waiting at Sugar Cube Corner for my turn to give you a job," said Pinkie Pie, merely heading towards the door, rolling her party cannon along with her. "Wait, how do you know Trixie will be getting a job from you?" asked Trixie, blinking in confusion. "Because that's always how these kinds of plots work, silly," said Pinkie, hopping out. "That's just Pinkie Pie being Pinkie Pie," said Spike. "Right," said Trixie, blinking, then looking to Fluttershy. "Lead the way. Fluttershy, was it?" Well, that was Chapter 2, and I am so sorry about all the mess-ups on that. But I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I had fun reading it. Um, but yeah, like I said before, I will be reading chapter 3 hopefully sometime this week or next, but yeah. Anyway, please, like I said in the last video, no mean comments or whatever, or I will be blocking off all comments, period. Anyway, yeah. Alright, 13 Black Dragon out.